How to play the guitar, fingerpicking or fingerstyle, lesson 4. Introducing the annular finger. To follow this tutorial and to practice the exercises in it, you may need the eBooks in front of you, and they're freely available at ebooks4guitar.com, and you're looking for month 9, week 3. I'll put the link below in the description. If you've been following this course from the beginning, you should be fairly familiar with the primary, index and middle finger. And now, once you can use the annular finger, there won't be many finger picking patterns you won't be able to play with a little bit of practice. Before we go any further, I'll just point out that for this particular tutorial, I've increased the speed of the metronome to 130 beats per minute. This isn't really fast for a finger picking pattern, and you should be able to cope with it. However, if you can't, just pause the video and practice without the metronome, and then you can just restart the video when you're ready. Exercise 1. Right, let's try using the annular finger, firstly without any chord at all, just by using open strings. And the first pattern I want you to try is primary, index, middle, annular, and then just repeat this on the open strings. Once you feel fairly comfortable and you're fairly happy with that finger picking pattern, you can try and basically reverse it. So we'll try primary, annular, middle, index, and then repeat this over and over until you're comfortable with it. Again, we're just doing it with open strings at the moment. Once you're fairly happy with these first 2 exercises and fairly confident, move on to the second exercise. Exercise 2. In this exercise, we're going to introduce some chords, and they are A minor, D minor, G7, C major, and E7. If there's any of these chords you're not familiar with yet, it might be worth trying them a few times first before we go any further. As we've done in the past for longer exercises, we're going to break this exercise down into 2 halves to make it easier to learn. So first we'll look at the first half, and the first thing we'll do is actually just strum the chords through so we get familiar with them before we try finger picking. Looking at the tablature, you'll notice straight away that most of the chord changes occur after 2 bars, except for a brief passage in the middle where there's 3 chord changes over 3 bars. And those chords are the C major, E7th and the A minor. As we practice strumming these chords, we'll use the same timings. Right, let's hear and see that again. Right, let's try the first half of this exercise using the primary, index, middle, annular pattern. Look out for patterns in the chords and places where you can leave the fingers in place as you do the chord changes so you can speed them up or make them more fluid. For example, between the D minor and the G7th, the first finger can remain in place on the top E string. Also, notice the pattern that C major, E7th and A minor have in common. The first and second finger remain in the same shape, which can be moved about and help speed up the chord changes and make them more fluid. Let's just see that done. Firstly, the D minor to the G7. Now, let's see the C major, E7th and A minor. Right, let's see that brought together using the primary, index, middle, annular fingerpicking pattern, or pimmer as we can refer to it. Let's hear and see that played again. However, before we do, let me just point out that when you're playing the E7th chord, you're not playing the root with the primary finger. You're playing the B note on the A string with the primary finger. And that's just because in this particular tune, it's more musical. Right, let's play the second part of this exercise. You'll notice the chords are exactly the same, so you shouldn't need to practice them again. You've just got to reverse the finger picking pattern to primary, annular, middle, index. Let's see that done. Right, let's see and hear that again. Finally, to complete this exercise, we need to bring part 1 and part 2 together. However, notice that the first half of the exercise has got a repeat sign. So we play the first half of the exercise twice and then the second half once. Let's see that done. Let's see and hear that again. Remember, with these exercises, you don't have to practice them with a metronome. You can probably get them a lot quicker and a lot smoother playing them free time. So practice them the way you're most comfortable and try and get them as fluent as possible. And then let's move on to the next exercise. Exercise 3. Primary, index, middle, annular, middle, index. Before we try to put this finger picking pattern with any chords, it's better if we try practicing it just with the open strings so you can concentrate on your finger picking. So let's try primary, index, middle, annular, middle, index, and repeat this over and over until you feel you're fairly comfortable with it. Even playing this finger picking pattern with no fingers, you may recognise the sound because it's fairly famous. For example, it's used in Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, or Romanza, which is a famous classical tune. Right, once you're fairly comfortable with this finger picking pattern, let's bring it together with some chords to create the tune Ripples by Sad Fantasy. This tune has the fairly simple chords in it of E minor, A major, D sus2 and D major, and finally a G major. We'll start by learning the first part of the tune, which has an E minor, an A major, the D sus2 and the D in it. However, you may notice from the tablature that in certain places we don't continue the pattern, we use a half pattern where it goes primary, index, middle, annular. This is quite common, and the patterns, whilst we're learning them as patterns, they do get broken and they change during tunes, and this is the beginning of learning how to deal with that. This is fairly simple, however. You just stop picking for a second, which gives you more time to prepare for the next chord or the next bar. Let's hear the first two lines, which involve using the E minor and the A major. Try that for yourself. You should find it's quite easy. You may have noticed that I counted a different number of metronome beats before starting playing along this time. And that's because this tune is in 6/8 time, or in other words, there's 6 beats in the bar. So I'll count 12 beats before I come in to give you time to get ready, just in case you're trying to play along with me. It's also worth pointing out that when we play the E minor here, there's no need to fret any notes, as we don't actually play any of the fretted notes. So if you prefer not to, there's no reason to fret the E minor. Right, for the end of this part, you'll notice we have a D sus2 and a D. And the D sus2 is simply a D with the second finger removed. So let's try strumming going between a D sus2 and a D major. Okay, let's hear the first part of the tune played. Let's hear and see that played again. Once you've practiced the first part of the tune and you're fairly happy with it, let's move on to the second part. You'll notice in this part the only new chord is the G major. By now you should be fairly familiar with the G major. However, let's just practice strumming going between the G major and the A and the G major and the D, because it's a fairly difficult chord to change between. Right, once you're fairly confident with your G major chord changes, let's try fingerpicking those first two lines. We're using the same fingerpicking pattern throughout this tune. Let's hear and see that played again. The rest of this tune is fairly straightforward and involves all the techniques you've learnt previously. You know the fingerpicking pattern and you know the chords. So here's the second part of the tune played right through. Right, let's hear the entire tune played from start to finish. As you're listening, notice that the first part of the tune has repeats in it, so it's played twice. Okay, let's hear and see that done again. Now, let's hear and see it done without a metronome. You'll notice I'm using the techniques we learnt in the previous tutorial, where you can speed up and slow down and increase volume and quiet down in order to create an emotional response to the music. If you enjoyed this tutorial and found you got something from it, please like and subscribe, and then you'll be notified when I upload new tutorials. You'll find the ebook to accompany this lesson at www.ebooksforguitar.com, and it's month 9, week 3. Thank you very much for watching.